much if something happened. Get. Hello everybody, welcome back to our channel. Raya's not going to be in this video a lot today because she has an attitude. I don't want to deal with it. She don't want to deal with me. We're just not clashing today. So yeah, plus as you can see from the title, this is not something that she could put a lot of input on anyway. So let's just hop straight into it. So ever since Raya was born, the only person that I trust to watch her was my mom. Like, even now, my sister, I might trust to watch her. My sisters, I might trust to watch her. But other than that, it's like mainly my mom. And part of that comes from I really don't trust anybody. And nowadays, you cannot trust anybody. Anybody is capable of anything. A big part of the reason why I don't trust anybody watching her is because she's young right now. She's not at the age where she could communicate to me if something happened, if somebody hit her, if she hurt herself. And pretty much she's not able to tell me if something happened to her or not, and nor is she able to differentiate if something is appropriate or inappropriate. So that's a big part of the reason. If I ever did send her anywhere, I would want it to be when she's able to communicate, when she's able to talk, when she could tell me if something happened. Okay, so another reason that I do not let just anybody watch her is because nowadays, let's be real, it's a lot of kids having kids. It's a lot of young people having kids. A lot of young people got 2, 3 kids. There's nothing wrong with it. If that's you, that is you. It is not for me. I tell people all the time, if I could have waited to have my daughter, I love her to death, but I would have waited. Like, having a kid this young, I'm not going to say it's not the look because it make it seem like, you know, I don't fool my daughter. I love her to death, but I would have waited. That's just me being honest. If I could have waited, I would have waited. I didn't. I love her to death. But if you are young and you have baby fever, like, I know you see the pictures and stuff, and you see the parents dressing their kids and whatnot, but you are not even seeing 75% of the behind the scenes, okay? Just wait. That's all I have to say. If you have baby fever, don't. Yeah, and what, you know, a lot of kids having kids, they don't even watch their own kids. Like, a lot of the times you see the grandparents with the kids, and, you know, there's nothing wrong with that because child's being taken care of, whatever. But when people don't watch their own kids, it's like you gotta watch kids around kids nowadays too. Like, these kids don't know personal space. These kids be putting their hands on other kids, and I just don't have time for it. I don't got time to be going back and forth with the parent because their child don't know how to keep their hands to themselves. And not only that, kids do what's done to them. So, you know, if something inappropriate is happening to a child and they don't know any better, you know, they might try to do that to another child, and that is just, like I said, I'm overprotective. I just want to protect my child from anything that I can, you know. If it can be prevented, you know, I don't want to take any chances. I'm going to do what I have to do to prevent it. So, yeah, just watch your kids, you know, just pay attention to what they do. Teach them personal space. Teach them it's not okay to put their hands on other people's kids. Teach them it's not okay to put their hands on anybody at all. Like, then you got the people who volunteer to watch your kids, yada, 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 but, like, they don't tell you if they have company. You don't know they company. Like, they just be taking your kid with them, having anybody around your kid, anybody holding your kid. You know, people like to put their lips on kids. Oh, she's so cute. Like, no. No. Don't put your lips on my child. That is one thing that irks me. Like, even with my family, I have to, like, cheek only. Like, I don't trust people around her because some people get close to you just to be close to your kid. Like, and I don't want to say that it's just the guys, you know, get close to the female. Just no, it's anybody. And stop thinking that what happens to the young girls can't happen to the young boys either. I feel like a lot of people are overprotective of their daughter and not their sons. Like, the same way that you protecting your daughter and overprotective and, you know, watching every move when somebody has her, you need to be that way with your son. Like, stuff is happening to these guys and nobody's speaking. Well, stuff is happening to these young boys, nobody's speaking on it because in their mind it just happens to girls, and that's not the case. at all. Watch your sons as much as you watch your daughters. Okay, this next one really, 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 really irritates me. I don't like when somebody has my child, and I'm not going to say somebody has my child because, you know, my child's normally around me. If she's not around me, she's around her, my mom. But, you know, my nephews and stuff, they can be a little rough. And if, like, they're playing and she gets hurt, they won't say anything. Like, I don't like when somebody has somebody else's kid, because I know it happens in the daycares too. And the child gets hurt and they don't tell the parent. I don't know if they're scared or how the parent react or what, but if something happens to a child, let that parent know. Like, they need to know what they need to know what to look out for. Like, if their child is acting funny and something happened to them and you didn't tell them, so they don't know, then what? The child is sitting there suffering because you too scared of what the parent gonna say. Like, first of all, you should have been watching the child. But accidents do happen, and when it's an accident, tell the parent. Like, they need to know to look out for if their child is, like, dozing off, and they need to know to watch that scrape on their arm or their leg. Like, y'all be so scared of how the parent reacting and not even thinking about what's going to happen to the child if, you know, the parent doesn't know and the problem is not being taken care of. Tell the parent. Please, it doesn't matter. Any parent's going to react the same way about their child being hurt, so just tell them. Like, dang, tell them. So this next part of the video is going to go into what I was talking about earlier. You can't trust anybody. Anybody is capable of anything. Do not put anything past anybody. So before I made this video, of course, I knew that I was going to do this video, so I messaged a couple parents. I messaged a couple people that I knew were parents, and I asked them this is what's going on down here. So, as I was saying before I was rudely interrupted, I messaged a couple people that I knew were parents, and I asked them, at what age do you think it's time to have the appropriate touch and inappropriate touch talk with your kids? So I'm going to read you their responses, and then I'm going to talk about what I think. A couple people said when they're old enough to understand, like 4 to 5, fully talk, understand 5 to 6. And then another person said something similar, but I'm going to read exactly what he said. Along with the 5 or 6, somebody else said, well, I think from the beginning, it's essential to stay on top of bodily boundaries to all extents, like hitting, biting, pulling hair. Kids should be raised to understand person-to-person boundaries, which I have too. Kids don't know personal space. He also continues to go on and say, when the question, why is this certain type of touching wrong, comes up, then it's time. I'd say around 5 or 6. Kids are getting smarter at younger ages, so whenever their curiosity comes into play, it's time. Another person goes on to say, just pay attention to how your child acts around a certain person, if their temperament changes. When they're old enough for the appropriate and inappropriate touches, talk with them. They also continue to say, age, I'm not sure, because you will know when your kid is able to understand that only they're allowed to touch, like, their private areas. Lastly, we have somebody say, I personally don't think it's an age thing. Once your child starts identifying bitty parts and stuff, I feel like you can slowly find ways to let them know. My daughter is 2, and I've started already, and I will not use silly words like cookie or etc. She will know vagina, and nobody's to touch her there right now. She says no V, but we will be getting there. Being molested at a young age, this is extremely important to me, especially having a daughter, but my son would know as well. That goes back to what I was saying. You guys need to be as protective over your sons as you are of your daughters, because just because you hear about it happening to girls more doesn't mean that it doesn't happen to the boys. And I feel like a lot of parents, or I'm not going to say a lot of parents, a lot of young parents don't think of it that way. You guys need to protect your sons too. All the responses I got back, I do have to agree that you do have the talk when they're old enough to understand. But then the question for me comes into play, is 5 or 6 too late to have that talk? With everything going around nowadays, with everything that people are doing, do you feel like that's too long to wait to have that talk? Because I feel like I do. I feel like maybe 3, if you can get them to understand, then yes, that's when you have that talk. But I feel like it does need to be as early as possible, because like I said, and I'm going to say this throughout that whole video, you cannot put anything past anybody. Now, when you do have the what's appropriate, what's inappropriate talk with your child at whatever age, you do want to teach them the correct term. That goes back to the last message that I read, you know, no cookie, no whatever you may call it, none of that. They do need to know the correct term, especially because if they were to be interviewed by the police or whoever they need to talk to, they will need to know exactly what it is, what body part they're talking about, and all of that. So definitely try to, to each his own. To each his own. I'm not telling you, you know, what to do with your child, but I would suggest to teach your child the correct term. So I definitely do want to have this conversation with you guys. So in the comment section down below, let me know if you're picky about who watches your child. Let me know if it's a certain age that you feel like the appropriate and inappropriate touches talk should be had. And let me know if you're still going to use nicknames. Let's have a whole discussion about it. I want to hear you guys' opinion on it, because you heard mine and a few other people. So let's chat down in the comment section. That is all I have to say for this video. So I will see you guys in our next video. Like, comment, and subscribe. Can you say bye-bye?
Bye-bye.
Bye. And we'll see you guys in our next video. Thanks for watching.